All right, the recording is started. All right, this is the May 2018 Rook community meeting, and we'll go ahead and get started. So Travis, thank you for getting the agenda doc updated while I was on my commute this morning. So it looks like there's a new build of Luminous that we may be able to pick up, or how is, can you talk about that, Travis?
Yeah, so first of all, I just copied the template, and the one issue I added there real quick was someone from the community opened a pull request, which I didn't get a chance to look closely at, but it looks like, well, the Luminous release it's been a few weeks since it was released, but it's not included in our latest 0.7 release, so they were requesting that we spin a new build to pick up Luminous 12.2.5. I didn't look real closely at what they were blocked on or why, but I wanted to make sure we were aware of it. And let's see.
Is there anything that's very important that's in that 12.2.5 build, or what is it just a collection of bug fixes?
Yeah, it was some bug fixes. I didn't, or in the pull request, so it's in 1730. It doesn't say why they need it. I don't remember any critical fixes that we would need to pick up in Rook.
Isn't it going to be worse than this? I mean, I don't think every time we build, we're going to pick up the new thing, right?
Right. Every time we build, they were just asking for it in an 0.7 release. So without more reasoning from them about why they need it, I think I'd like to hold off on spinning an 0.7 release for sure, because we're getting closer to 0.8 anyway.
Yeah, and so do you want to go ahead and comment on that pull request, just asking that particular community member what specifically they wanted out of it?
Yep, I'll do that.
And Alex, do you have audio? I see you in the chat talking.
With his question, I know that the SFFX fix that we're waiting for, where with multiple file systems the Mons crash, that one will be in 12.2.6. That's the one people are looking forward to.
I see. So 12.2.5 does not have that fix anyways.
That's correct.
I see. And I'm going to assume that Alex doesn't have audio today right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll click the unmute button. Actually, well, that's not doing anything for me. So, okay. And no, Alex, we cannot hear you. I can see your chat, but I cannot hear you. And looks like you're unmuted now from software, but I don't know about your hardware.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So Travis, you will follow up on that particular issue from the community member then.
Right. And we'll assume we're not running a 0.7 build.
Correct. Yeah, it would be my preference not to go through a release process.
Definitely.
Unless we really do, unless there's a very compelling reason.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. On the 0.7 board, there's nothing there. So I'm going to go ahead and close that.
Yeah, by the way, there was the one issue we've talked about for the last couple of meetings. I've not heard any more reports of the issue with data loss. So, and nobody's reported on 1.10 that I've heard of.
Right, and Christian confirmed that his team was not able to reproduce it anymore on 1.10, is right?
That's correct.
Excellent. I am very, very. I gave them an in-person apology in Copenhagen and a smile as well. I don't know how far that went to compensate for data loss, but I did my best.
Right.
So, okay, let's go ahead and look at the milestone 0.8 board. Look at the project board first. So, we could talk about this more specifically in just a minute, but the big refactor to support multiple storage types, that PR has not yet been merged. We have all of the checkbox items for it completed. Thank you very much for your help on that, Travis. That really, really helped speed up the process, and Tony as well, to get that ready to much closer to going to master. The feedback on the PR is is completed locally in my local copy, and I have not pushed that the PR. And after that, I don't know of any other steps besides a final review or clicking the approval button right in my final green build. So these other items here. Alex says he's going to be in a meeting with audio in 7 minutes. I don't know when that timestamp was, so it looks like it was pretty recent. So I don't know what is going on with these other tickets that are currently in review.
Yeah, with Alex's, I know that he has a pull request open for the Mons, let's see, and yeah, both of those he has PRs for that are in review. So when he comes back on, maybe we could ask him.
Okay.
Those.
I know was it you, Travis, that tested his change for making the code generation script to be portable?
Mm-hmm.
From
I tried that out.
Tony and Alex. And
on the Mac.
That had an issue on the Mac, correct? On Darwin?
That's right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about the one OSD per device. I've seen a lot of commits from Wyman over the past week or two. Is that converging, or what's the status on that?
Yeah, it's definitely converging. It's getting close. He's actually at OpenStack this week. So there are
a conference for OpenStack.
Yeah, it's up in Vancouver, just across the border here.
Oh, that's right. Okay, I remember that.
Yeah, him and Sebastian and are up there. So Yep.
Awesome.
Anyway, so there is some review feedback that he's working on, and basically stabilizing. It's converging. If he wasn't at OpenStack this week, I would have expected it to be done. So by our next meeting, for sure.
Okay.
I feel good about it being in.
I personally have because of the frequency of commits, I've seen maybe 5 or 6 commits a day. Mm-hmm. I personally have held off on reviewing because I made the assumption that it was under a lot of churn still. Do you think it's to a place? Are those changes there's a lot of frequent commits that are happening? Are those small tweaks now, and it was be ready for me to take a big pass on it? Reviewing.
Yeah, I think it'd be good for you to make a pass.
Okay.
One of the questions
to a point of stability before reviewing.
Yeah, one of the open questions still is the upgrade, making sure upgrade from 0.7 is going to be feasible, or what that looks like.
Okay, good. Yeah, I would definitely like us to pay very careful attention to upgrade, considering how much effort we have put on the upgrade, supporting upgrade in some automatic migration features for going from just supporting Ceph to supporting multiple storage types.
Yeah.
So exactly. I would like to keep our upgrade story intact.
Yeah.
The one other thing that we talked about there is the relationship to local volumes upstream, and if there was a convergence path for the discovery pieces. I think the last community meeting we had talked about maybe starting a discussion there. I know there was some effort in a couple of pull requests to talk about improving local volume, and so I'm personally curious about how this work dovetails into that.
Yeah, I'm not sure since our last meeting I've seen follow up on that yet. That's a good one to follow up on still. And
okay.
The thought was that our discovery pod wouldn't be needed anymore after local volumes are available. That that the or operator would be able to just consume the local volumes in place of provisioning the raw devices. But yeah, that needs follow up.
Do we have from the Rook community? Do we have anybody who is kind of on point or a specific liaison for that feature to the storage SIG? Because I think we've kind of, in terms of knowledge and ownership of integrating local volumes with Rook, it's kind of passed along a number of people now. And is there anyone who is has a bit of more of an on point responsibility for that?
Yeah, we should definitely make that point clear because it has changed hands several times.
Do you think is that something that Wyman would be open to taking?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember if well, he said he would. Was I just talking to him or this meeting last time? I think he was on point as of now for following up there. But I'll follow up.
Is that something we already discussed as a Rook community?
Yeah.
I don't remember doing that, but I don't have the best memory.
I must have just been talking to him then.
Okay.
I don't remember it here. But I had in my mind that he was planning on taking that point.
Awesome.
I'll clarify. What's that?
There was also the discussion in one of the pull requests around the OSDs not finding each other if they're in containers on the same host. And then I think Sebastian said that he tested it and that he thought it was all good. But we couldn't really identify what changed in Ceph to fix that. And it would make me I'll feel a lot better if we actually can point at what changed to fix that, because it was a pretty significant issue in the past. So I don't know who would know. I don't think these things fix themselves by themselves. So if we can find what changed, this would have been like a design level change, I think.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I remember, Bassam, about that conversation, or I might be confusing it with another conversation, was when you have more OSD processes running, they exhaust the PID space. That's an entirely different issue than what you're talking about? Because that's the one I recall there being a context of, something fixed it, but we're not sure what it was.
It was the OSDs trying to find each other. They know that they're on the same host, and they try to find each other through, the local machine. And they can, because they're in a container, and they start doing busy work, heart beating excessively and trying to find each other. So they were working. Things were working, but there was an excessive amount of traffic, or at least busy work, with the OSDs trying to find each other.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Somebody was saying something. I think it was Dan.
Yeah, I couldn't hear it. Dan, are you there?
Yeah, sorry, audio issues. I thought the problem was they were running out of FDs because they were trying to open a socket, didn't get a response. We're like, well, I'll try again, and eventually chewing through all the file descriptors. And I thought that was some consequence of running in the namespaces, but I didn't know that anyone had ever actually diagnosed what was going wrong.
Right, and that's the part that's concerning me, is that we are kind of chalking this to fixed, but nobody can point at what the fix is.
Well, not only that, what the defect was exactly.
Right. So.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so we definitely need to resolve that before this is merged. I don't recall from the discussion that it didn't feel like the level of detail was there that we needed either way. It felt more like speculation. So, okay.
Yeah, the first task is to try to reproduce it, and Seth did that briefly and didn't get there, but that means it's not there still.
There was already a conversation around this topic here on the pull request for making one OSD per pod. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Right, so I guess that's a good forum to continue following up on that then.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, we'll do that then. Let's see, Travis, were there other issues for 0.8 that you have concerns about, or risks that you're quite concerned about? Everything else I'm looking at on the board, but the big ones that I don't know, I don't think we're going to be able to wait for before we can do a release would be 1435 and 919, the ones that are in the bottom of the to-do column.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't see those getting done. Let's see, 1553, that's the one we believe is not reproable in 1.10, and 10.27 we're just waiting for the next Luminous release to pick up, which we need to make sure is in time for 0.8.
Mm-hmm.
With the security model, I did start working on that yesterday, and that should be fine for 0.8. I don't feel like it's a risk, but need to make sure it's done right. So look forward to reviews on that. But otherwise, the OpenShift work, and that will be pending the security model changes too before I merge. But I think we're good there.
So further OpenShift support is still on the roadmap for 0.8, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's what
I've got the PR open for that.
Great.
I
So
think
Travis, are you planning to put the security changes in first and then finish this, or in which order? I didn't catch the order.
Well, I wanted to make sure I understood the security model and
okay.
worked on it for a bit. And if it's there's one guy I've heard who wanted to try out OpenShift, so I might just give him a private in the meantime, and then I'm not sure the order yet. If it'd be good just to go ahead and merge the OpenShift, but I think waiting for the security model would just be a nice thing to do.
Yeah, when I looked at this last, there was four different things that you need to set as policy, and then Rook worked. And I'm sure I saw your changes, and they look very similar. And so, yeah, I mean, there is a workaround right now. If we simplify our namespace and service accounts, I think it's even a cleaner workaround, a cleaner fix for this.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah, it did require a number of little code changes, like with the what's it called? The owner ref that isn't available until a fix comes into OpenShift.
Yeah.
And there was another one too.
Yeah.
But
cool.
Anyway.
Well, I mean, I think given how different OpenShift is from other environments, we should definitely also be testing on it. So.
Right, and the Jenkins support, like you suggested. Yeah. What's not tested is tends to deteriorate over time
quickly.
Yeah.
Okay. So then, in terms of the rest of the to-do column, 1665 is one that is absolutely driving me batty. Travis, I don't think that you're entirely comfortable with this issue still existing either, are you?
I definitely would love to have it not exist. It doesn't block a release by any means, but it's very
on an ongoing day-to-day management of pull requests. It's incredibly frustrating. I've looked into this a couple of times and have failed to find a conclusion or even a workaround. So I don't personally know anything else that I can do.
Right. It's existed since we moved the build.
Since we migrated, that's correct.
Yeah.
I wonder if we could get maybe half an hour or less of Ilya's time to see if he can poke around a little bit, or if he knows of any configuration that might help this. So I'll talk to Ilya since I'm in Seattle with him. I can give him a little physical poke and see if he can take a look at this and help us out.
Yeah.
In 1721, that's an issue that has existed since the beginning of our agent and flex volume implementation. I can't believe that we didn't discover this until just recently, and it's certainly a nice to have, but this issue has been there for a long time that has not necessarily had any or many production instances. So Travis, you said that someone was interested in working on this from the community?
Yeah, his name is Ganesh. He submitted another fix last week.
To this?
So he's just getting involved or not to this, to a different issue.
To make the experimental multiple file systems and blocking it, right?
Oh, that's it. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I remember Ganesh. Cool. And so Ganesh is interested in working on this as well.
Yeah, he said he was. I think it was Friday. He said he was going to start on it.
Is that one of your Red Hat colleagues?
He's we have a daily meeting where he calls into, but he's with Intel actually.
Oh, cool. That's awesome. I love
Yeah.
that. Great. I'd love to see more commits from him.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, Alex, I can
There's
hear
Alex.
you.
Oh, finally.
I missed you, man.
Same here.
You're alive.
Um,
Awesome.
Yeah.
Did you, Alex, did you want to go ahead and talk about your 2 issues that are in the review column?
Yes. So the change code generation script is 1664. It's kind of problematic because I don't have a Mac, so I can't really verify a fix on, well, unless I have a Mac or, well, use a BSD virtual machine to check if it's working. So I'm probably going to sit with Jared, Travis, or someone with a Mac to look how I can fix them quickly now, because it's a small thing to fix.
Sure. And Travis or I would be happy to help you out.
Was that command identical to what was there before? So if it is,
Yeah, kind of. It's more of like a wrap-on, because on BSD you have no version flag, so it's doing like a check with if the version flag exists. Use the set with the I without the file ending, and for some reason it's picking up the quotes as real quotes and then adding it to the end of the file name.
I see.
Yeah, so it's a quick thing to test. So yeah, if you want to just catch us, we can test it.
Yep. And then how about mons should never be placed on a node with another mon?
Yeah, so for that, the problem kind of is that I didn't really have the time to look at it again, but overall the problem is our CI doesn't have multiple nodes and multiple Kubernetes nodes. So the resulting problem is that the new code is like, there's one node, so I'm starting only one mon. And even if the user wants more mons, the operator, I think, just errors out and it goes like, no, I can't create 3 monitors. But I talked with Travis, I'm not sure if in person or in the comments, that we will change it so that if the user hasn't given the mon count, we will go for what nodes he has, kind of. So after the logic we kind of already have with user has one node, so we spawn 1 mon. User has 3 mons, we spawn 3. With 5, we still only spawn 3. But if the user gives the mon count, it will use that no matter how many nodes exist. So if a user gives, let's say, 5 as a mon count, but only has like 1 node, kind of as how our CI works, it will, always spawn the 5 mons then. But
Okay, so in that case, they will get the mon count that they requested.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay.
So it's kind of, if it's not set, we set it and go for a safe value from perspective of the node count. If the user sets it, we just go like, the user wants it, so we don't care to do like that.
Can I add a little bit of additional information to that?
Sure.
So you said like if a user doesn't specify the mon count, it will pick a mon count, which is the number of nodes up to a maximum of 3.
Yeah.
But from a Ceph standpoint, having 2 nodes is dangerous because of the potential for split brain, and it's better to have 1 node than 2 nodes.
Sorry, I didn't mention that. If you only have 2 nodes, it will not go for 3 months. It will only go for 1 month.
Okay, perfect.
So because there isn't any sense to try to create a forum with 2 nodes.
Right.
As you already said that.
Great, thank you.
No problem.
And who was it that was just talking with that useful information?
This is Blaine.
Oh, awesome. Thank you, Blaine. I appreciate that. And actually, Blaine, I wanted to talk about 1404 also, that I know you and Bassam had been in a conversation recently about using the upstream images from the Ceph container project. What is the latest status on that, if you guys can summarize?
I guess from my point, I have that technically done. We we have been kind of talking about the CentOS images grow a little bit more. They end up being larger than the Ubuntu images. And I can account for some of that, but there's still some.
Alex, I think that you're making some noise over there.
Oh, it sounded like something crashing. Yeah, so there's like 60 megabytes still unaccounted for in that image, and I don't know exactly what what that is. I guess have a theory that because the Yum package manager doesn't have the concept of like recommends dependencies. It only has like hard yes or no dependencies. It may be pulling in some of what would otherwise be recommends.
Although I object to the entire concept of being anal retentive about the size of the image, I did do some experimentation with that last night and got to the point where I've got tarballs for images, so I was going to go through it and see if I could classify some of this stuff and see what major differences there might be.
Okay, that sounds really great.
So Dan, you're saying that there's a little bit more like of work to understand the difference of the image size. And how big? What is the total difference that we're talking about now?
192 megabytes from Ubuntu compared to CentOS, and I think
it seems like the unpacked size is actually smaller difference than that to start with. I don't know if they're just overestimating the package sizes, perhaps.
Yeah, the additional packages. So the CentOS image also has iSCSI packages in it, which the Ubuntu image doesn't. So that accounts for at least like according to like when Yum does the install, that I think was like 46 megabytes or something. And then the CentOS base image also is about 50 megabytes larger. I think something like that. Maybe it was. Oh, I think it was more closer to like 90 something megabytes. So like that accounts for some of the size, and then there's just 60 megabytes left over that I wasn't sure where it was coming from.
And so from a functional standpoint, the usage of the containers, the Ceph container images, that everything is working, like integration tests pass, all the functionality is there?
Yeah, the integration tests are all working. Yeah.
Okay, that's great then. Thank you for the progress on that, Blaine.
Yeah, I think
what else comes out of the further research there, and just add it to that pull request. So 1404, is that in review then? So can we move it from in progress to in review?
Yeah, I think so. Something that I do kind of have a question on. So today it seems like the enabling like multiple storage providers. So I mean, whichever one of like either that one or this one goes first, the other one will have to do some refactoring. So it may be worth it to sort of sit on this one until after the multiple storage providers, or just whichever one is done first. I just realize that those are definitely going to collide in some ways.
I'd say let's go with the multiple backends first, because that's a much bigger.
Okay, yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking as well.
Tony, I'm going to unmute you, Tony. Cool. Okay, yeah, thank you very much, Blaine, for the update, and also your consideration about merge conflicts and that there. So that's appreciated very much. All right, so I think that covers basically the big things for 0.8. There's some items that we have discussed are not going to be in the milestone very likely, some nice to haves, and the core issues that we're most concerned about, I think, have all been discussed.
There's one thing I just want to know, but I hope you can hear me better now.
Yeah, I can hear you, Alex.
For the per pod 1OSD issue, I totally forgot to finally comment on it. That I hope everybody keeps in mind that we have the host network support, so that we would need to increase the port per OSD when using host network. Or else, well, the whole thing collides with, probably some issues.
Say that again. We need to increase what when we have
I mean,
106 per pod?
when you use host network, they will use the same network stack. So the OSDs either automatically go, I'm automatically assigning themselves the port that is available, or Rook does it for them. Because if Rook doesn't do it for them, as I said, either Ceph has to do it on its own, or we have to find a way to do that.
To
I'm
use
not
different
sure.
ports.
Are you saying that host network is now required for the multiple?
No, I'm not saying it's required, but if you are using it, so if I create a cluster with host network true, they will use the same network stack. So if they use the same pod, they won't run.
You're saying port and not pod, right? P-O-R-T? You're using the word port? Yes, OSDs negotiate different ports when they're on the same IP.
Okay, so that shouldn't be a problem for the per pod OSD.
Yeah, that's my understanding of the ways that the way that OSDs work as well. So thank you for confirming that, Dan.
Still one question in there. We don't set the ports on the OSD pods then? So, yeah.
So, ports on the pods.
Ports on the pods. Because if we would set it, well, they would collide because Kubernetes would say, port 237 something, and the same ports on the same node starts and goes right.
Yeah, we do not set that explicitly at all.
So we don't set it. Okay.
OSD to do their own negotiation to figure out what port to use. Yeah, there's nothing explicit that the operator tells them to do.
Okay.
Great. Thanks for bringing that up, Alex. I appreciate that. Right, so the last issue that I had on the agenda here was about the multiple storage providers, and I said that we'd talk about that later, but we kind of already addressed that. We know that all the planned for items are completed, and the final feedback from Travis is being integrated, and we will. I have that locally. I finished that on the bus this morning, so we need to test that. Do another test pass to make sure that everything seems sane, and that's all the other feedback that I know on that pull request. So if there's anybody else who has feedback on the pull request for this issue for refactoring for multiple storage providers, the pull request is 1678, then that would be great to go ahead and get that feedback in because otherwise we're planning to go to master very soon.
Yeah, and if someone wants a summary of the changes, one thing you might just look at briefly is the pending release notes in that PR. I was just going to post a link to that just to see what changed from a user perspective, and are there any concerns at that level even. But I think they're pretty basic. Not that I would hope it changes at this point, but something to look at as a first.
Yeah, Travis, I think the write-up that you did in the pending release notes about the impact users, that was a very good summary of it. So I appreciate you doing that. And then also, the attention that we paid to migration and in the upgrade scenario, I hope will make things smooth for people as well, because there was a lot of thought that was put into the migration process and not breaking people's existing clusters. So I hope that this will be smooth, but I am not making a guaranteed statement it will, because those are the last words, right?
So once that work is merged, just to be clear, we're gonna add Cockroach and Minio as well?
Yes, that is correct, Bassam. Those implementations are in a holding pattern in their own forks, their own branches, just waiting for this refactor to get into master, and then Tony and I will complete those implementations with the latest from master and test them and make sure that they're good to go. So that is definitely part of my 0.8 plan for and Tony's plan as well. Okay, I believe that was everything that I had on the agenda doc for today. Were there any other items for discussion from other attendees on the call today?
It's not really a discussion point I have, but just wanted to ask if any one of you is going to the container days in Hamburg.
I think, Alex, that there are some people that are already in Europe that are going to be at Container Days. But I don't think all the names I see on this call, I believe, are North America, except for you. So I don't think that anyone on this call is planning to go.
Okay.
Yeah, but feel free, Alex, to hit the conferences channel on Slack and try to coordinate with anybody who may be there as well. That's great usage of that channel. Oh, John Spray is in Europe. I did not know that. Sorry for offending you, John.
Is
Not offended.
the UK technically in Europe?
I hear right.
Sorry.
All right. Sounds good then. Anything else, Alex, from you?
Only thing for the container days is there that I'm going to talk about distributed storage with Rook with Kim Norman. So.
Yeah, I'm very excited about that. And also feel free, Alex, to post like a link to your talk or your slides in Slack too, so that everyone from the community can see it, because that sounds pretty useful.
Yeah, sure will do. It's kind of more of like a project intro with a bit more demo than you did.
Ooh, nice, man. Sounds great.
Yep.
Alrighty, that's all I've got then. So I will go ahead and stop the recording and end the call then.
Sounds great.
All right. Thanks for everybody for attending. Have a great week, guys.